On November 1, 2022, at approximately 8:25 p.m. Police Scotland forced entry to a first-floor flat within Greendykes House, Greendykes Road, Edinburgh. Nothing could have prepared the officers for what they were about to find. Police officers were reported to have been seen leaving the property moments after entering and vomiting on the communal landing. Earlier that evening around 5:30, the police had conducted door-to-door inquiries attempting to confirm when residents had last seen one of their neighbours. Just a few hours later, the heavy police presence descended upon the block of flats. Police tape cordoned off the entire right side of the building. Social media erupted with people asking if anybody knew what had happened. Whatever had happened, it was evident this was something serious. Upon forcing entry to the property, the police confirmed 2 individuals were found deceased. Police began further door-to-door inquiries, questioning residents specifically about whether they knew 4 individuals, how well they knew them, and when they last saw those individuals. A small black terrier dog was spotted being removed from the flat in which the incident had taken place. This was confirmed to have been the dog of one of the deceased. The dog had belonged to another resident whom had recently passed away following a cardiac arrest. Residents of the block stated they were made to sign themselves in and out of the block in the days following the incident. The police presence remained outside for several days, with some people stating it was several weeks. In the following days, a white Audi 4x4 was photographed being removed from the scene on the back of a recovery truck under police supervision. Police quickly confirmed they had arrested a man aged 65 in connection with the incident. The deaths were being treated as suspicious, and a murder inquiry was underway. In the days that followed, Police Scotland stated they had arrested a second man aged 40, and inquiries were ongoing. Our thoughts are very much with the families and friends of both men at what is a very difficult time for them, as said Detective Chief Inspector Susan Balfour of the Major Investigation Team. Police confirmed the identities of the deceased as Desmond Rowlings, aged 66, and Derek Johnston, aged 37. Desmond Rowlings was described by his neighbours as a quiet man who kept himself to himself. His family described him as a loving and devoted father. Derek Johnston, who resided in another area of the city, was described by family and friends as a gentle soul who never bothered anyone. What was the connection between Desmond, Derek, Dean, and Ian? What happened to bring about the end of the lives of not one, but 2 men? In the days leading up to the incident, Derek Johnston was alleged to have told a neighbour he had heard Ian and Dean were gearing up to do something. Despite this, Derek visited Ian, who resided in the high-rise block of flats, on October 30th. This appears to have been the last time Derek was seen. It was believed the following day Desmond was invited round to Ian's flat. Neighbours stated Desmond and Ian seemed to get along well and would regularly visit each other. Neighbours believed Derek also visited Ian often, as he was seen coming and going from the flats often. So this would not have seemed out of place to anyone. Desmond's loved ones had been unable to contact him by phone. Worried, they then visited his residence and found he was not there, despite his car being outside. It is believed this was when they contacted the police. Police conducted a welfare check after loved ones reported Desmond as a missing person. It appears this welfare check triggered the initial door-to-door inquiries, which subsequently led to the forced entry by police, leading to the discovery of 2 bodies. Going back to November 3rd, a screenshot appeared on Twitter. The screenshot was of a WhatsApp message allegedly detailing what had happened. At the time, no further sources of information had been released to validate the screenshot, which now appears to have been deleted. However, we can reveal a little more about the 2 men who were arrested. Ian MacLeod, nicknamed Bronco due to his volatile nature, was fined in 2009 by the Haddington Sheriff Court after admitting to domestic assault on his wife Deborah and her 2 daughters. A month later, he attacked his wife again. On that occasion, Ian MacLeod savagely attacked his wife, beating her, stabbing her multiple times with a kitchen utensil, before leaving her unconscious. It was reported emergency services had worked on her for over an hour before being able to transport to the hospital. The extent of the injuries suffered from the attack was so severe his wife's life hung in the balance. At the time, she was only given a 12% chance of survival. Ian was jailed by the Glasgow High Court for 6 years, and upon release was to be monitored for a further 2 years. Just 3 days prior to Ian's savage attack on his wife, Ian's son, Dean MacLeod, sparked a siege lasting several hours with armed police, while brandishing a knife. His sentence, despite a previous incident involving a hammer, was 12 months probation, with 80 hours of community service. More information on the victims of the father and son duo came to light as the case was heard in court the following year. This included the use of a blowtorch to burn the letters YLT into the victim's forehead, as well as the removal of facial features. These new details were stated to have happened after death. While the multiple injuries inflicted with bladed weapons and the blows to the head were said to have been prior to, and ultimately led to, their deaths. Sources state Ian was part of the Young Leith team when he was younger, while other sources state he was the leader. The Young Leith team, or YLT, is a council estate gang from the Leith area of Edinburgh. Both Ian and Dean MacLeod faced charges for disposing of their mobile phones in an attempt to conceal their crimes. Finally, on April 8, 2024, at Edinburgh High Court, both accused pleaded guilty to double murder. We will leave you with some quotes from the judge's statement from sentencing for the double murder. Ian John MacLeod, you are now aged 66. You have a criminal record which discloses 3 prior custodial disposals. Only one is of any note, namely your conviction in the High Court in 2009 for the crime of assault to severe injury, permanent disfigurement, and danger to life, in respect of which you received an extended sentence comprising a 6-year custodial part with a 2-year extension. Dean Ian MacLeod, you are now aged 42. You have served 7 prior custodial sentences. All but one of your previous convictions has been at summary level. Some of your offending has related to weapons, namely a knife and a hammer. In the hammer matter, your case proceeded on a sheriff and jury indictment. On the quite exceptional facts of this case, I have decided to set a notional headline punishment part of 36 years. Taking into account, as I require to, the utility of your pleas of guilty at this late but still pre-trial stage, I now fix the actual punishment part of your life sentences at 34 years. Ian John MacLeod, your sentence will be backdated to the 4th of November 2022, and Dean Ian MacLeod, your sentence will be backdated to the 7th of November 2022, these being the dates of your respective remands into custody in these proceedings. Before adjourning the court, I would add the following. In the course of this case, police officers, pathologists, forensic scientists, and senior Crown and senior Defence Counsel and their teams have undoubtedly required to examine truly horrific scenes, images and related material. They have all had to see things that they cannot unsee, as it were. Speaking for myself, I wish to note this and thereby formally acknowledge their dedicated service to the criminal justice system and the people of Scotland.